Okay, now here we go into Revelation 13. Then we're going to get to Revelation 20 at some point, and we're going to get into Isaiah 14, and that should really cover the explanations about Satan well enough for you to understand why I'm right, you know. So Revelation 13, the beast out of the sea. The dragon stood on the shore of the sea, and I saw a beast coming out of the sea. It had 10 horns and 7 heads, with 10 crowns on its horns. And on each head had a blasphemous name. Okay, this also connects back to Revelation 12:3. The beast I saw resembled a leopard and had feet like those of a bear and a mouth like that of a lion. The dragon gave the beast his power, his throne, and great authority. Okay, so this is an extension of the devil. Okay. One of the heads of the beast seemed to have had a fatal wound, but the fatal wound had been healed. See Isaiah 1:4. Woe to the sinful nation of people whose guilt is great, a brood of evildoers, children given to corruption. They have forsaken the Lord, they have spurned the Holy One of Israel and turned their backs on him. Why should you be beaten any more? Why do you persist in rebellion? Your whole head is injured, your whole heart afflicted. From the sole of your foot to the top of your head there is no soundness, only wounds and welts and open sores, not cleansed or bandaged or soothed with olive oil. It goes on to say in verse 9, unless the Lord Almighty had left us some survivors, we would have become like Sodom. We would have become like Gomorrah. And we see the world, and there's no way for them to recover from it, now that they've cheated me out of a suitable helper, okay, to the point where it's a point of no return. You know, the world's too evil to reproduce in. My body's contaminated by poisons. They've been poisoning me over the years, and they deny me a suitable helper, and people are far too stupid to even rally to me. It's clear cut that the world is permanently Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay, and there's no way back until people go extinct, and then they just burn in hell forever. Right? They made the dumbest move in all of history. Never forget that the governing class chose to make the stupidest move in all of history, just be nerds, driving Mercedes and petty stuff like that, things they could have done anyway, but in a way that was extremely pitiful. All right. So it says, hear the word of the Lord, you rulers of Sodom. Listen to the instruction of our God, you people of Gomorrah. And they're talking about the nation of Israel that had sank down. So all the Jews at this point, everyone who identifies as a Jew at this point, is being referred to in Revelation as, you people of Sodom and Gomorrah. And as the world has basically taken on their spirits, they've taken over the various institutions and religions and spiritual movements, right, with the European governing class and the LGBT community. So the rest of the world is basically the people of Sodom and Gomorrah. No servant can be greater, so to speak. I mean, that saying is kind of misleading, okay? No servant can also be, they also can't be a greater evil, okay? Hear the word of the Lord. Okay, we went over that. Okay, the whole world was filled with wonder and followed the beast. People worshiped the dragon because he had given authority to the beast, and they also worshiped the beast and asked, who was like the beast who can wage war against it? Again, you see the nations of the world, especially America, the UK, Israel, and Russia, etc. Obviously, it doesn't make sense to say it is just Russia, because obviously NATO can wage war against them. So who can wage war against people with nuclear bombs, right? They fit the description better than anyone else. There's also, when they talk about spiritual warfare, okay? So it's somebody who's not right with God, who's not righteous and just, okay? There really is nobody who fits the description as an individual, okay? It is the nations, and of course the beasts, we see that it has many heads and horns and so on and so forth, okay? And it stands for the kings. It's like it's a combination of things, right? So NATO, it's basically all the nations in the world combined, okay? Are different factions and heads of the beast, All right. All right. All right. So the beast was given a mouth to utter proud words and blasphemies and to exercise its authority for 42 months. It opened its mouth to blaspheme God and to slander his name and his dwelling place and those who live in heaven. This is part of how they provoked me. It was given power to wage war against God's holy people and to conquer them, and it was given authority over every tribe, people, language, and nation. Again, this book is not written in heaven or something. This is simply the script of people. And of course, to conquer them in what way, right? It meant to conquer the flesh of those who refuse to obey God through me, okay? When you interpret it as to conquer, there's no way to interpret it honestly as them conquering God's people. Okay, if they're God's people, they can't be conquered. Okay, so there's some kind of translation error. Some kind of scribe error and some kind of translation error. It's also when was the book written and where, right? Why John and Patmos? Revelation to some degree can't be trusted. So I'd go as far as to say verse 7 refers to martyring people. It doesn't refer to conquering people. Okay, and also the whole Bible is on the boundaries of my interpretation, not anyone else's. So there's a lot of problems with them going behind my back and doing it the way they're doing it. All inhabitants of the earth will worship the beast, all whose name have not been written in the Lamb's book of life, the Lamb who was slain from the creation of the world. Whoever has ears, let them hear. If anyone is to go into captivity they will go. If anyone is killed, some manuscripts say anyone kills with the sword they will be killed. This calls for patience, endurance, and faithfulness on the part of God's people. The beast out of the earth. Then I saw a second beast coming out of the earth. It had 2 horns like a lamb, but it spoke like a dragon. It exercised all the authority of the first beast on its behalf and made the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast whose fatal wound had been healed, and it performed great signs, even causing fire to come down from heaven to the earth in the full view of people. We see this in Job, where the devil causes this to happen, basically. Because of the signs it was given power to perform on behalf of the first beast, it deceived the inhabitants of the earth. It ordered them to set up an image in honor of the beast who was wounded by the sword yet lived. Okay, we can see it as the false images of Christ. We can see it as all the Jews that we see in the media and so on and so forth. Okay, and everywhere else, they're sex cults. They're reproducing the image. They're reproducing the statues and the paintings. Okay, those are their family expressions, right? Patriarchal lines. The second beast was given power to give breath to the image of the first beast, so the image could speak and cause all who refused to worship the image to be killed. It also forced all people, great and small, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hands or on their foreheads, so that they could not buy or sell unless they had the mark, which is the name of the beast or the number of its name. This calls for wisdom. Let the person who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for it's the number of a man. Okay, this is a pain in the ass because there's a lot of connections here. Okay, King Solomon, 666 talents of gold, right? What talents people have. Mark is a root word for Mercury. Okay, the merc of the beast, 666 in Latin is sex. Okay, Mercury is a deity of trade, commerce, merchants, and guiding souls to the underworld. Okay, that the Greeks and Romans were all well aware of. Proverbs 8 says wisdom is deep. Says wisdom is said to be when God set the heavens in place, when he marked out the horizon on the face of the deep, when he established the clouds above and fixed securely the fountains of the deep. Okay, so to make a long story short, anyone who fails to obey God through me accepted the boundaries of the world. They refuse to come through the gate. Right, the gate is like a boundary. It's an entry door. It's a way through the boundary and not being caught in the boundary. That's why in Revelation 18 it says, "Come out of the world." That's why Jesus said he chose his disciples out of the world. Okay, because you're not supposed to be in a trance-like state in church, or you're not supposed to be doing anything but obeying God through me, and what that leads you to do. Okay, now some bootlicking cowards will say some frat boy bitch shit or something, and say, "Oh, isn't that convenient?" Okay, but who are they compared to me? They're worms that lead you astray. What are you doing without me? You're just being a worm going to hell. So it's obvious that I'm right.